Have you ever felt invisible? Like no matter how hard you tried, the world just didn't make room for you. In Bluey's episode, Seesaw, the tiny pup Pom Pom is pushed to her limit, not by meanness, but by something quieter and far more familiar. It begins with a game. Bluey and Bingo leap from the bar like acrobats. Chloe joins, then Coco, then Snickers. Laughter rings out across the park. The seesaw tips, the kids unite, and the battle to unseat Bandit becomes a raucous quest for teamwork and triumph. But not for Pom Pom. We see her early, dangling from the bar, afraid to jump. The distance is too great, and unlike the others, she's not swept up in the thrill of the game. She's struggling just to keep up. She whispers, "Maybe it's best if I don't play washing," and retreats to her mother's lap. That quiet retreat is something many of us know too well. It's not loud or dramatic. It's a slow curling inward, a decision made in tiny protective whispers. It's safer not to try. As adults, we make these choices too. Skipping the party, staying silent in the meeting, convincing ourselves we didn't want to be part of the group anyway. But what if we did? What if Pom Pom's voice echoes one we've carried since childhood? The fear that if we're not like the others, we don't deserve to play. This moment is about more than a game. It's about the heartbreaking ease with which we let ourselves disappear. It's such a small moment, but isn't that always how it begins? Not with a scream, not with a tantrum, but with a quiet giving up. A tiny voice inside saying, "Maybe I don't belong here." Seesaw isn't just a silly episode about pet rocks and sausage sizzles. It's a metaphor about social belonging and how easy it is to be left out when you don't quite fit the mold. Pom Pom's size is more than physical. It represents anyone who's felt too different, too anxious, too new, too invisible to join in. She's a symbol for the late bloomers, the shy ones, the small breeds in a world designed for Labradors. There's also a dad eating sausages on a seesaw, talking to his pet rock like it's royalty. Throughout the episode, Pom Pom sits out. Not because she's lazy or uninterested, but because no one quite makes room for her. The others don't mean to exclude her. They're just caught up in their own momentum, their own noise, their own fun. And so, Pom Pom waits on the sidelines, in her mom's lap, watching the game go on without her, until Bluey calls her name. The moment Pom Pom hears the others shout for her, "Pom Pom!" something shifts. Her ears perk up. She sees their faces turn toward her. She's no longer forgotten. She's wanted. And in that simple invitation lies a lesson many adults need to relearn. Inclusion doesn't happen by accident. It takes intention. It takes calling someone by name. In a world where adults often divide over differences, politics, identities, even parenting styles, this episode quietly reminds us that belonging isn't about sameness. It's about making space. The kids never ask Pom Pom to be bigger, louder, faster. They don't tell her to change. They just shift to include her. What if more adult communities worked that way? What if inclusion wasn't about assimilation, but about elevation? Seeing the strength in what's different and building the kind of balance where everyone has a place on the seesaw. Think about it. How often do we move through life without noticing who's been left behind? How often do we assume silence means disinterest, when really it means fear? How many Pom Poms have we missed? In classrooms, workplaces, family gatherings, because we didn't look down and say, "There's room for you here." This episode quietly confronts that blind spot, and then it celebrates what happens when someone dares to believe they belong. Pom doesn't just join the game, she climbs the seesaw. She struggles, slides, nearly falls, but keeps going. And in that brave climb, she doesn't just win, she reclaims herself. Pom Pom's arc tells us something we forget too easily. Being small doesn't mean being weak. Being scared doesn't mean being incapable. And being left out once doesn't mean you don't deserve to be invited back in. The seesaw becomes more than playground equipment. It becomes a mountain, And Pom Pom's climb is something we all do over and over, climbing past our self-doubt, past the memory of being overlooked, past the fear that we don't have enough to offer. What makes this moment powerful isn't just that the others call her up, it's that Pom Pom says yes. She gives herself permission to try again, and that, maybe more than anything, is the moment of transformation. She doesn't wait to feel confident. She climbs while still unsure. That's real courage. Pom Pom doesn't defeat Bandit alone, but her tiny weight tips the scale. She's the final piece of the puzzle, the one no one expected to matter until she did. So why does this hit so close to home? Because we've all been Pom Pom. Maybe not in a literal sense. Maybe you weren't the smallest kid on the playground, but maybe you were the quietest voice in a loud room, the one who wasn't invited, the one who felt too weird, too shy, too anxious to raise your hand, ask for help, or take up space. Seesaw holds up a mirror, not just to childhood, but to every moment in adulthood when we've questioned our worth. It reminds us that we don't always need to be the loudest, the strongest, or the most obvious. Sometimes we just need to show up, to believe we belong, to hear our name called, and to answer, "Okay, I'm coming." And if we're not Pom Pom, then maybe we're the ones with the responsibility to be Bluey, to make space, to reach out, to say, "We haven't forgotten you. You matter. We need you on this seesaw too." And when we do that, when we open the circle instead of closing it, something remarkable happens. Because here's the beautiful irony at the heart of how the episode resolves. Bandit, the towering dad, the immovable force, is finally bested not by strength, but by solidarity. A team of kids, each bringing something different. Chloe's coordination, Coco's curls, Snicker's heft, and Pom Pom's grit. Seesaw isn't about overpowering a parent. It's about balancing the weight of difference. It's about what happens when we pool our strengths, lift each other up, and let even the smallest voices shift the outcome. There's also a subtle but powerful rebuke to grown-up behavior here. Notice how Chili and Bandit, usually the wise ones, are kind of the worst? Chili literally feeds the problem. Bandit revels in his smug sabotage. It's the kids who fix things. It's the kids who collaborate, persevere, adapt. The message is clear. Sometimes grown-ups forget how to be fair. Sometimes children are the ones who remember what community really looks like. And you know what? You're not alone. Maybe the episode reminded you of a time when you were overlooked, when you longed to be picked, but were passed by. Or maybe it nudged you to notice someone in your life who's been sitting quietly at the edge of the group, waiting for someone to say their name. Who's your Pom Pom? Who have you forgotten to invite into the game? Or maybe, just maybe, you are Pom Pom, and you're still waiting for the moment someone turns, smiles, and says, "We need you." If so, let this episode be your call. You do belong. You are strong. Not despite your smallness, but because of it. Your voice, your presence, your story, they all matter. And when you finally take that brave climb, when you believe that the seesaw can tip, you'll discover what Pom Pom already knows. Pomeranians are a small but hardy breed, and so are we. If Seesaw touched you like it touched us, share a time when you felt unseen, or someone who helped you feel seen. And if you want more of this kind of storytelling, hit like and subscribe. There's always room on the seesaw.